ABC Listen. Podcasts, radio, news, music and more.
But he could come back tomorrow. He could come back, have a good old Harmison, a bit of a loosener on the leg stump, pick it off for two.
Stuff the silver, we come for the gold.
Here we go. Dawson comes up and bowls to Waugh, who drives through the offside for his 100. That is extraordinary.
When you think about old school Test cricket greatness, fabric of the game stuff, Steve Waugh's got to be right up there, doesn't he? So what does it tell us when the ex-Aussie skipper is the front man for another expansion T20 league? Waugh is a part owner of the Amsterdam Flames. That's right. They're going to be playing in the European T20 Premier League. He's joining us to explain why the world needs another T20 comp, what his involvement says about the game, and then he's got his Ashes review. And Steve has some thoughts. I'm Patrick Stack. This is ABC Sport Daily. Well, Steve Waugh, thanks so much for joining us. It's a pretty interesting execution that we've seen today. Why do you feel as though the world needs another T20 league?
Well, it's not so much another T20 league. This is pretty a unique concept, developing cricket in continental Europe. I think it's been underdeveloped, under-resourced and lacking opportunities for a long time. 1/3 of the ICC cricket playing countries are from Europe. There's 3 teams from Europe in the next T20 World Cup. The Olympics are coming up, so there's huge opportunities for European cricket to develop, and I think this league will present great opportunities for the players. I mean, they'll be playing alongside some of the greats of the game, and that's really going to fast-track the process of young players, get a lot of people interested in the game in Europe, and get fans engaged in this league. I think it's an exciting opportunity. There's 6 new franchises about to be launched. The season starts August 26, and this is something that probably a lot of people didn't think would happen, a European T20 league. So that's what attracted me to the proposition, was to develop new markets for cricket, to have a say in the shape of cricket worldwide. This is a new market, but one that I think needs to be addressed.
You will be leading the Amsterdam Flames. There's Edinburgh and Belfast so far. Do we have any indication of what the other 3 franchises, where they might be?
Yeah, there's 6 franchises that are going to be allocated. There's Dublin, Belfast, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Amsterdam and Rotterdam. The last 3 franchises are pretty much resolved, and ownership is about to happen, so they'll be announced in the next couple of weeks. This league is going ahead. It's going to be exciting. I'm a part owner of the Amsterdam franchise alongside Tim Thomas and Jamie Dwyer, probably our greatest ever hockey player, who has strong connections back into Amsterdam. So the 3 of us have put together this franchise. So for me, it's a great learning experience as well, to be part of a business, a startup. But it's exciting because you can shape, I guess, the way of the franchise, the culture, the people, the organisation, and hopefully we're going to be successful going forward.
How many fixtures will there be?
There'll be 10 games, so there'll be 34 matches in total over August 26th through to September 20. So it pretty much follows the week after the 100 finishes in the UK.
Can you give us an idea what a franchise might be valued at? Like, what's a team worth?
Well, good question. I don't really know. I think we're still trying to work those things out and work out what the revenue streams are going to be from the league, and e.g. broadcast rights, sponsors, those sort of things are yet to be finalised. But look, I think for me, yeah, it's a business opportunity, but it's almost more than that. It's a chance, as I say, to shape world cricket, to develop new markets and really take the game truly to a global stage. But down the track, I mean, I know these franchises are valuable if they work and you get revenues in and people watch it. And I think the key is to produce a league that's really watchable with really good quality players, which I know is going to happen on good cricketing facilities. And this is pretty exciting. I can see people going to sort of Amsterdam or to Dublin for a week and watching a couple of T20 games, having a bit of a holiday, playing some golf, doing some sightseeing. So I think it's going to open it up to the world market.
You spent some time in Amsterdam over the journey. What's your connection with the city?
No, I haven't spent any time with Amsterdam. So, the connection is that we were first in with a franchise. We believe this was the place we wanted to be. It's a global city. The Netherlands has a strong history of punching above its weight in sport. I think they're probably the number one Olympic country per population, alongside of Australia. They enjoy themselves. I think their way of life is similar to Australians. They play hard, they party hard, and they enjoy their sport. So, we wanted to definitely get the Amsterdam franchise, which we managed to get.
I think cricket fans would generally see you, rightly or wrongly, as a traditionalist, as someone who's tied to the red ball game, despite, your white ball exploits, obviously, in the 50-over game. Do you, is this sort of a new chapter for you? It feels like almost like, in a weird way, it's like almost a recognition of the T20 sort of takeover of world cricket in some regards.
Yeah, I wouldn't say takeover. Look, I'm still traditionalist. Number one, I love Test cricket. That's still my priority. I love that. That's the sport I'll watch. Sit down and watch a Test match. So that's still number one for me. And I want to ensure that Test cricket survives. I think everyone who's got the best interest of the game will be aligned with that thought. But also, to me, it's more the opportunity to develop countries that haven't had a chance in the past. I'm always a big believer in supporting the underdogs, against the odds sort of stories, the ones who haven't had opportunities to be the best they could possibly be. And to me, Europe presented that. So that's why I'm really interested in that, to develop new superstars from Europe. I know the Netherlands, the Dutch team have got some great players already. Italy's at the next T20 World Cup alongside Ireland. So there's excellent cricketers there who haven't had the chance to showcase their skills. And for the Amsterdam Flames, for example, I'll be playing alongside, our captain will be Mitch Marsh. We've got Steve Smith, Tim David, so three of the world's best cricketers.
Square leg and third of the two fielders out as McAndrew bowls to Smith. That is monumental. That's onto the roof of the Brewongle stand. Wow, 6-4-6 off McAndrew at the start of the over.
Stephen Smith, take a bow. That is a massive six.
Can you imagine there's 7 continental players in each team? They'll be playing alongside the superstars of the global game to fast-track their process, not only in skills but learning, preparation. So that's got to be a benefit to world cricket to have these amazing players playing alongside. As each side will have 4 international players and 7 continental players. So it really is pretty unique in that concept. It really is developing countries.
Globally, we're seeing IPL teams, the BCCI, involved in these kinds of leagues. I think cricket fans will be wondering, is there association? Because you're seeing players essentially rolled out for sister franchises across the circuit. Is that the case with this?
No, it's endorsed by the ICC, but it's nothing to do with the Indian Premier League. It has a full endorsement of ICC. Also, the Dutch, the Irish, and the Scottish cricket boards have given us full. They've sanctioned this league, so it's independent. It's an opportunity really to create a league from the ground up, to set the values and what it stands for. And it's a good opportunity for this league to sort of stand out amongst all the other competitions. Obviously, the IPL is huge. It's a massive organisation. It's one of the biggest sporting corporations in the world. So we're certainly not that to start with, but we can find our own sort of niche and be a little bit different.
You mentioned you love watching Test cricket. We just saw, a huge summer of cricket. How did you assess the Ashes ultimately won by Australia?
I've got to say, to be honest, it was a little bit of a letdown to watch it. I really expected this fierce, amazing contest. I know when you're playing, you want to dominate the opposition, but when you've retired and you sit down and watch cricket, you want to see a good contest that's exciting, stimulating, and both sides going back and forth, and a bit of angst and a bit of edginess about it. I just thought it was lacking a bit of that in the whole series. England didn't play some great cricket. And I don't think Australia were that outstanding. They had 3 or 4 players that had fantastic series. But to me, I think catching probably proved the difference. We caught remarkably well, which was a big difference.
New over, a slip and a gully as Nisa is rushing in here to Jacks. Kerry standing up edge. Oh, Steve Smith's taken a blinder. One-handed to his left at first slip. And the partnership is broken. Jacks's resistance alongside Stokes comes to an end. He's out for 41. Steve Smith's gone racing off in celebration.
I think spectators probably felt a little bit let down. Having said that, Australia winning 4-1 is a great result for all of Australia and a credit to our side. But I think everyone expected this amazing contest, which didn't quite evolve.
What would you have liked to have seen from the Australian outfit that you didn't feel that they didn't quite hit to reach the top heights?
Well, they probably didn't have to be truthful, so no, they weren't really stretched as much as they could have been. I think, as I say, the fielding was excellent. Bowling was good because, we had some superstars out in Cummins and Hazelwood and Lyon, so to fill at those guys, it's not an easy task, so full credit to the guys that stepped in. I thought Scott Boland was outstanding, and Michael Nisa, when he came in, was great.
Nisa delivers, Pope drive, straight back to Nisa, he's caught and bowled, and Ollie Pope, who had been riding his luck, pops it straight back to Nisa. The return catch, the bowling change works.
Batting-wise, we're probably a bit inconsistent. I think that's where maybe there's still some question marks over the top of the order. It's been a little bit all over the place and who's batting where, so it's been unsettled. And I guess the middle order was, a few question marks there. So cricket sides are always changing and trying to get as good as they can be. So you can't expect to have the perfect outcome every time, but our batting probably needs a bit of work right now.
Travis Head was one who was a standout. Do you see him now as really a logical long-term opening solution?
I don't think anyone knows. I don't think he even knows, to tell you the truth. He's the sort of guy that's very laid back and he'll bat anywhere. But if you said that at the start of the season, people said, no, he's just a makeshift opener. But his record's outstanding.
And now he's one run away. Field still spread. Atkinson to him. He backs away, pops it up on the offside and gets through for the single. It's a counter-attacking 100 from the makeshift opener. He salutes the pavilion. A test-turning 100 for Travis Head.
I think while it's working, it's probably, he's probably the man at the top of the order, but long term they may look at trying to get a bit more settled at the top of the order. I feel a bit sorry for Jake Weatherald. He was different partners and it was a bit all over the place. He got some pitches that were a bit difficult. I'd like to see him get more of an opportunity, but at some stage we're going to have to bed down that top order and say this is our top three and stick with it.
An issue you spoke about was, I guess, the fact that this is an ageing side, and that kind of hasn't been solved at the conclusion of this, and we've got a clear idea that the impetus of this group is to probably target India and England again. I mean, this group has struggled or hasn't quite conquered that as younger men. Do you look at that group and think that now they actually can be closer to achieving those things in 2027?
Yeah, I didn't really say the problem with the team was the ageing squad. I just said George Bailey didn't have appetite to make some tough decisions. It didn't necessarily mean because of the age, because I've always believed if you've got a 40-year-old with a great attitude, I'd pick that over a 20-year-old with a bad attitude. So if you've got a good attitude, it doesn't matter how old you are, as long as you're fit. So I'm all for picking guys on what their attitude is, how their form is, whether they're still good enough to be in the team. But you've got to look to see where the next generation is coming from and prepare. There's no denying the fact that it is a pretty old side when you look at it, particularly bowling-wise, and you've got to reinvigorate that at some stage. The quandary is for the selectors, when do they do that and how do they, I guess, stage that, because you don't want 4 or 5 players leaving at the same time. So they've got to have some conversations with the players. I think it's a lot harder for players to retire these days. The financial rewards are there and the recognition, so it's not an easy thing to walk away from like maybe it was 20, 30 years ago. So the selectors have probably got to step in and take more control.
You mentioned George Bailey. Selection was, as is always the case, a central conversation all summer. How did you rate he and the sort of broader management setup and their performance across the series?
Well, if you judge it on where they win or lose, it's successful. They won 4-1. I thought it was a really strange selection of picking a spinner in Sydney. I just thought it sent a bad message out to Todd Murphy, who came into the squad and basically saying, you're not good enough to get wickets. And I found that rationale difficult to sort of comprehend that because it wasn't going to turn, but spin bowlers get batsmen out with flight and now the subtle variations, so it didn't really resonate with me that the reasoning for not picking a spinner. I think it sent a bad message out to young kids who are spin bowlers, to state spin bowlers, that there's not necessarily a spot in the team for a spinner unless the wicket's turning square, which is definitely the wrong message. So I thought that was a strange selection. They somehow got away with it, but I think that was a selection that was wrong. And overall, you can only judge on what the team's done. They won 4-1, so as a selector, you're judged on the success.
Steve Waugh, appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Cheers.
Headlines, tennis, and we love when players push the boundaries from a fashion standpoint. Naomi Osaka has set the bar for the Australian Open. She entered court for round 1 in a floor-length aqua and white dress, a hat that reminded us of those white lady funeral provider commercials, a veil and a white umbrella that may or may not have been acquired at Paddy's Markets. The tennis star says she was inspired by a jellyfish in her daughter's book.
The inspiration was obviously the jellyfish and then butterflies, which kind of ties back to the butterfly moment I had here a long time ago in 2021. But it was honestly, it came together quite beautifully because I didn't know what to expect when I arrived here. And then it just felt like everywhere I looked, the theme was water.
Imagine being an adequately big deal in whatever you do that you can say, I'm going to wear the jellyfish outfit to work because my daughter likes them. That is a level of clout to aspire to. She won her match also victorious in 3 sets. Not such a great start for the Australian women in the second round. Both Talia Gibson and Storm Hunter knocked out. However, there are plenty more local hopes in contention. To stay across it all, head to the ABC Sport website or listen on the ABC Listen app. Angus Crichton is heading to rugby union at the end of this NRL season as the Rooster attempts to play in the 2027 Rugby World Cup. The Chooks have become something of a development squad for the Wallabies. Joseph Akuso-Suaalii is in the green and gold. Mark Nwanga-Netawasi hopes to be next season, and now Crichton too. Crichton is expected to play for the Waratahs, and inside centre or loose forward is the expected position. I'm Patrick Stack. This is ABC Sport Daily, produced by Poppy Penny.
Discover more great ABC podcasts, live radio and exclusives on the ABC Listen app.